we will take literature. Okay. So, what will we take today, girls? What are we going to take? Do you remember?
About the racism of black people.
Racism for black people. We started it previous time. What did we say? And what was the main idea previous literature period?
That
Civil disobedience. Civil disobedience.
What, dear?
Civil disobedience.
Excellent. Civil disobedience. Excellent, Yarima. Civil disobedience. Okay. So, do you remember who is the hero we will talk about? Did I open the slide?
Miss, is it Rosa Parks?
Yes, Rosa Parks. And someone whose name was not as popular as Rosa's name, but she did, and she played a very important role. I didn't share. Wait. I want to share. Here is it. Here is it. So previous time, we are in Unit 4, girls, okay, Chapter 16. We previewed the academic vocabulary. We discussed what is a memoir, what is the first person, what is a claim, and what is the reason, evidence, claim, evidence, and reason, logos and pathos and rhetorical devices, and Joanne Robinson. Joanne Robinson is the woman who wrote this memoir, and we said a memoir is a part of her life for 4 or 5 years or 3 years, not a whole autobiography, just a part. Okay, and we discussed her life, and we said she led the community, women community and political council with Dr. Martin Luther King, and she started the bus boycott. So let's see what happened. Okay, let's see what happened. I'll share the open page 366, girls. Quickly, all of you bring your literature book, please. Quickly. So today we'll take the first read. Okay, I'll share it now.
Miss, what page again?
366.
Okay, thank you.
Do you see the Google page, the site, website? Okay.
Yes.
I don't know why it's taking time. Okay, so let's start reading till it opens. I'll reopen it, and then, because it takes a lot of time. Najwa, page 366, please read from the beginning, dear.
The first read?
Yes.
In 1955, African Americans were not allowed to sit in the front, whites only, section of city buses in Montgomery, Alabama. Teacher and civil rights activist Joe and Jepson
Robinson,
had tried to start protests of this policy a few years earlier but could not persuade her women's political council to take up the cause. What she needed was an incident that would provoke a reaction from the public. When Robinson
listen, please. What she needs is an action that revoke. What revoke? It is the reason for the spark. Revoke or provoke. What provoke action from the public. Revoke action from the public. What? So she played a very important role, but there was an action to provoke public. Continue, Najwa.
When Robinson's friend, Rosa Parks, refused to give up her seat, Robinson and other activists were already poised to turn her simple act into a movement that would challenge the status quo. Objectives: as you read this excerpt, notice the actions that occurred and the reactions of individuals and groups in response to those actions. Underline actions taken by opposing sides to the segregation issue and write the word action next to them. Write reaction next
So
to
what are we going to do again in the first read? While we read the first read, what are we going to read? We are going to underline what? The action and what, girls?
reaction.
Reaction.
Yes, the action and the reaction. Okay? And right next to it what? What right next to it what, dear? It's written in front of you, tell me.
Action.
Right, action, yes.
And reaction.
Yes,
And beside.
yes. Read, Yanesh, continue.
Write reaction next to sentences that describe how different groups responded to this action. Write questions you have about the text in the My Thoughts column.
Okay, thank you, Najwa. Noor Yusuf.
Yes, miss.
Read,
Do I
dear.
start the excerpt?
Yes.
Excerpt: The Montgomery Bus Boycott and the Woman Who Started It. The Memoir of Jo Ann Gibson Robinson. In the afternoon of Thursday, December 1, a prominent black woman named Mrs. Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to vacate her seat for a white man. Mrs. Parks was a medium-sized cultured mulatto woman, a civic and religious worker, quiet, assuming, and pleasant in manner and appearance, dignified and reserved, of high morals and a strong character. She was and still is, for she lives to tell the story. Respected in all black circles. By trade, she was a seamstress, adept, and competent in her work.
Yes, so what happened? What does he want to say? There was a woman, this woman was a seamstress. What is seamstress? Seamstress, the woman who used to sew cloth. She was a seamstress, and after she finished her work after a long day of work in the shop, she took the bus to her house. And then this bus in Montgomery was divided into into three areas. White only, black only, whites only at the beginning of the bus, blacks only at the end of the bus. And in the middle, there is black when there are no whites. So they were like four here, or two here, for black people. But if there is a white man, they leave their seats for them. What if there is one man and there are four blacks sitting? The four blacks stand up for the one white man. Now, not even he sits next to her, no. He rides the bus up, the white area is full, the black area is full. And there were four Rosa Parks, and next to her a man, and on the next chairs, there were two other black women. And then came a white man, and so the bus driver asked her to move and leave her seat because the man has left, the two women have left. So the bus driver asked her, leave your seat. What did she do? She did nothing. She didn't move at all. And doing nothing was the doing. Doing nothing was the doing. She just said no, and she stayed in her seat. So the bus driver got crazy because he is racism. She had a history with him before when she was younger, and he forced her to leave the whole bus. So this time she was so tired to leave her seat, she refused to leave her seat. Suddenly, she looked outside the window and she refused to leave her seat. So the bus driver came and then he called the police, and the police tried to convince her, but then they took her, they beated her, they arrested her. And this was the spark. So what did Joanne Robinson do when her friend Rosa Parks was arrested, beaten, humiliated in the middle of the street? Okay, thank you, Noor. Noor Bilal?
Yes, miss.
Tired from work?
Yes, tired from work, Mrs. Parks boarded a bus. The reserved seats were partially filled, but the seats just behind the reserved section were vacant, and Mrs. Parks sat down in one. It was during the busy evening rush hour. More black and white passengers boarded the bus, and soon all the reserved seats were occupied. The driver demanded that Mrs. Parks get up and surrender her seat to a white man, but she was tired from her work. Besides, she was a woman, and the person waiting was a man. She remained seated. In a few minutes, police summoned by the driver appeared, placed Mrs. Parks under arrest, and took her to jail.
Okay, so in this part that Noor have just read, what is an action and what is a reaction? Who can get me an action and who can get me a reaction? Jude.
Yes, miss.
Yes, can you get me an action? Something Rosa Parks did?
She remained seated.
She remained seated. Excellent, يا جود. I'll underline it. She remained seated. What was the reaction, Yelana?
Miss, are you sharing your screen?
No, I'm trying to, but it refuses. Look, I'm trying. Maybe it opened. It is still downloading. Here it opened. Great. Okay, what is Lana? What is the reaction there?
Yes, miss.
What did they do when she didn't give up her seat?
They took her to the jail.
Yes, excellent. So she remained seated, underline it and write next to it action. Placed Mrs. Parks under arrest and took her to jail, underline it and write reaction. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Here, finally it opened. I'll share it. Now can you see?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we underline she remained seated and the driver appeared, placed Mrs. Police summoned by the driver appeared, Parks and arrested to took her to jail. So till now, are you following?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, miss.
Rina?
Yes.
Yes, miss.
Continue reading there.
Okay. It was the first time the soft-spoken middle-aged woman had been arrested. She maintained decorum and poise, and the word of her arrest spread. Mr. E.D. Nixon, a longtime stalwart of the NAACP branch, along with the liberal white attorney Clifford Durr and his wife Virginia, went to the jail and obtained Mrs. Parks' release on bond. Her trial was scheduled for Monday, December 5, 1995.
So they put her in jail and they assigned a trial. She'll be
Miss
back
Nada?
for a long time. Yes, dear.
Miss Fatima can't enter the Classera because it's updating. She said, can you invite her?
Oh no,
Sara?
I called I called someone else. I
Miss Nada, I'm here. I'm so sorry I got out because my
here are you. I was just going to call you. Yes, dear. It is
yeah,
okay.
it's what and class year is updating, so I couldn't join.
Okay. So we were where were we? Yeah, here. And then she was put into jail. Okay, and then went Mr. E.D. Nixon, a long-time stalwart of our NAACP. This is the organization to call for the rights of Black people. It is written down. Read it from down, Rima. What is an AACP?
NAACP, a National Association for Advancement of Colored People, a civil rights organization. The term colored people refers to African Americans, but is no longer in common use.
Yes. Continue, Rima.
The news traveled like wildfire into every Black home. Telephones jangled, people congregated on the street corners and in homes and talked. But nothing was done. A numbing helplessness helped to paralyze everyone. Every few stayed off the buses the rest of the day or the next. There was a fear, discontent, and uncertainty. Everyone seemed to wait for someone to do something, but nobody made a move.
So everybody waited for anyone to do something, but no one did anything. Everyone was shocked. Black people were shocked. Okay, all of them discussed that one of the activists in the organization has been put in jail for refusing to leave her seat to a white man. Okay, so here, where is an action, girls, or a reaction? Where is the reaction here? Where is the reaction in this part, girls, that Rima have just read?
Everyone seemed to wait for someone to do something.
Excellent, but nobody made a move. Excellent, this is a reaction. Thank you, Rima. Sarah, read you, Sarah.
Must we highlight it?
Yes, please. We are on page 368, girls.
Yes.
368.
For that day and a half, Black Americans rode the buses as before, as if nothing had happened. They were sullen and uncommunicative, but they rode the buses. There was a silent, tension-filled waiting. For Blacks were not talking loudly in public places, they were quiet, sullen, waiting. Just waiting.
Yes. So what did the Black people? They just took the bus as normal, but they were silent. They were anticipating. They were waiting. They were not talking even to each other. They were just waiting to see what is going to happen. They were anticipating. Continue.
Thursday evening came and went. Thursday night was far spent.
Okay. There is a reaction here in this part. What is the Black's reaction?
They were not talking.
Can you tell me what is the Black's reaction here?
They were quiet, silent, and just waiting.
Yes, dear?
They were quiet and
Excellent.
just waiting.
Yes, they were not talking loudly in public places. They were quiet, silent, waiting, just waiting. So this is the reaction of Blacks to this incident. Continue, Sarah, Thursday. So underline it, please. This is the reaction. Continue, Sarah.
Thursday evening came and went. Thursday night was far spent, when, at about 11:30 p.m., I sat alone in my peaceful single-family dwelling.
Here. Who says I sat alone?
Joanne.
Excellent.
Yes. I sat alone in my peaceful single-family dwelling on a quiet street. I was thinking about the situation. Lost in thought, I was startled by the telephone's ring. Black attorney Fred Gray, who had been out of town all day, had just gotten back and was returning the phone message I had left for him about Mr.
Mrs. Parks' arrest.
Miss Parks' arrest. Attorney Gray, though a very young man, had been one of most active colleagues
Dear.
in our previous meetings with bus company officials and Commissioner Birmingham.
Thank you, Sarah. So, thank you, dear. So here she started talking, Joanne Robinson. She started to say that Thursday went, and then about 11:30 p.m. she was sitting, she was waiting. Okay, she was thinking about the situation, lost in thought. I love this expression. I was lost in thoughts. Then the black attorney is like a lawyer, Fred Gray. He called her. He had been out of town, and then when he had gotten back, he heard what happened and he contacted her. Thank you, Sarah. Rada. Rada.
Yes, miss.
Yes, dear. Continue
Yes.
reading. I want to go. Yes, it
What?
is. Yes, a Montgomery native who. You were not following, Rada?
Yes.
Here, dear, it
I
is.
can't
Do you
hear
have your
you.
book, or from the PowerPoint, from the share screen?
Yes.
Continue reading.
Not from a book. Though a very young man, had been one of my most active. Can you hear me, miss?
Yes.
Yes, though a very young man, had been one of my most active.
Okay, Rada, there is
A
something wrong.
Montgomery, a native who had attended a.
Yes. Why you stopped, dear? Dana Shaheen.
She
Dana.
have a connection problem because
Okay.
her mic turns black suddenly.
Dana Shaheen. Dana. Dana Wael. Dana Shaheen. Dana Wael. Malak Wasim.
Yes, miss.
Continue reading, ya Malak.
From tonight?
From a Montgomery native who had attended Alabama State.
Wait, what, miss?
From a Montgomery native who had attended Alabama State.
Miss, I think I'm in the wrong page.
52. Line 52.
Oh, yes.
And it is, girls, don't you see my shared screen?
No, miss,
I
we can.
do.
Girls, I shared it. You don't see it?
No, we can, miss. We can see it.
We can.
All of that, you cannot see this? I shared it a long time.
Miss,
No, miss, we can't see it.
Miss, we can see it.
Okay, continue reading. A Montgomery. 52, Malak.
A Montgomery native who had attended Alabama State and had been one of my students. Fred Gray had gone on to law school in Ohio before returning to his hometown to open a practice with the only other black lawyer in Montgomery, Charles Langford. Fred Gray and his wife Bernice were good friends of mine, and we talked often. In addition to being a lawyer, Gray was a trained ordained minister of the gospel, actively serving as assistant pastor of Holt Street Church of Christ. Do I continue?
Yes, so she talks about Gray, Fred Gray, the activist, and his wife Bernice, and the day that he called her. Continue. Tonight. Tonight, line
Tonight his
61.
voice.
Line 61, page 368.
Tonight his voice on the phone was very short to the point Fred was shocked by the news of Mrs. Park's arrest. I informed him that I already was thinking that the WPC should distribute thousands of
notices calling for all bus riders to stay off the buses on Monday, the day of
Yes.
Mrs.
So
Park's
here is the
strike.
idea. Here is the idea, the brilliant idea that Joe and Robinson thought of, that no black will ride the bus anymore.
Are you
Okay?
ready?
Yes,
Are you
all
ready?
bus
He
riders
asked.
to stay off the buses on Monday. She only said that it would be only one day. Only one day. Only Monday, the day
The
of
black,
Mrs. Rosa's trial.
the black bus riders or all the bus riders?
No, black.
Okay,
Because
thank you.
the whites, not all of the whites are with this, they are with the discrimination, they support discrimination. Not all of the whites are with the black people. So she
Miss,
asked all the bus riders to stay off the buses on Monday, the day of Mrs. Park's trial. Okay?
Miss,
Continue.
in the paragraph before, do we have any action and reaction or no?
Uh, n- no, she was explaining when Fred Gray called her.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
continue, madam.
are you okay? He asked. Without hesitation, I assured him that we were. With that, he hung up, and I went to work.
Yes, and then she started to work with this brilliant idea of calling people not to ride the bus on Monday, the day of Rosa Parks' trial. Thank you, Malak. We go to Natalie. Natalie,
Yes, miss. I
read
made
Natalie.
some notes on the back of an envelope. The Women's Political Council will now wait for Mrs. Parker's council to call a boycott of city buses. On Friday, December 2, 1955, the women of Montgomery will call for a boycott to call back on Monday, December 5. Some of the WBC officers previously had discussed plans for distributing thousands of notices announcing a bus boycott. Now the time had come for me to write just such a note. I sat down and quietly drafted a message and then called a good friend and colleagues, John Cannon, chairman of the business department at the college, who had access to the college's mammography equipment. When I told him that WBC was staging a boycott and needed to run off the notes, he told me that he had suffered embarrassment on the city buses. Like myself, he had been hurt and angry. He said that he would be happy to assist me, along with two of my most trusted senior students. We quickly agreed to meet almost immediately in the middle of the night. At the college displacing room, we were able to get 3 messages to a page, greatly reducing the number of pages that had to be mimeographed in order to produce the tens of thousands of
Thank you.
little genomes.
Thank you. Thank you, Natalie. So, some of the organization, they had discussed plans for disturbing thousands of notices announcing a bus boycott. We want to start a bus boycott. And now the time had come. So she started, and then a colleague helped her, John Cannon, a chairman of business department at the college, and two of the seniors. They helped her access the college's mammograph. What is a mammograph? Read from down there. Read, now it's time for Jana. Jana?
Yes, miss.
Yes, Jana, read, yes, Jana, what is a mammograph?
What?
Mammograph.
Okay.
369, page 369, at the end.
An early copy machine.
Yes, an early copy machine. To copy. Copy what, ya Jana? What do they want to copy?
Equipment.
They will copy what? What are they going to copy? Asma? What are they going to copy, ya Asma? Ragad? Ragad? Asma? So Ragad, Asma, Dana, and Dana are absent. Kadra? What are they going to copy, Kadra?
A notice announcing the bus boycott.
Yes, they are going to copy and distribute notes for the bus boycott. Okay, continue reading, Jana. Then they helped her and they started to here thousands of leaflets, okay, to distribute them. By 4 a.m., read Jana, by 4 a.m., and we are on page 370, girls, 370. By 4 a.m., line 91, Jana. Dalia. Yes.
Can you hear me?
What?
Can you hear me?
Yes, but your voice is so far. Asma? Or whom? So raise your voice, Asma.
Miss, did you call me or Dana?
Yes, Jana. Read ya, Jana.
Okay.
By 4 a.m. Friday.
By 4 a.m. Friday, the sheets had been duplicated, cut in thirds, and bundled. Each leaflet read.
Okay, we'll stop here. We stop here, and because we want to take the notes as together in a book. In next period, you will leave now and meet me in 5 minutes, girls, and don't be late, please. Okay.
Yes, miss.